Okay, so Thailand, right. Who hasn't seen those photos online and dreamt of exploring those incredible temples, the intricate architecture, the golden Buddha statues, even just like the scent of incense? It's magical.
Yeah.
But I gotta admit, I would be so worried about like accidentally disrespecting something.
Oh, you're so right to think about that. It's really easy to get caught up in the excitement of travel and totally overlook those cultural nuances,
Yeah.
especially in a place like Thailand where temples are such a part of daily life.
Yeah, for sure. So for this deep dive, you actually went through tons of travel guides and vlogs and even articles from like Thai cultural experts
Yeah.
to give us the inside scoop on like temple etiquette, not just like what to do, but like why these customs even matter.
Yeah, exactly. Like think of it as your secret decoder ring
I like that.
to understanding what's going on and having a truly authentic experience.
Perfect. Okay. So first things first, what are we wearing? Because I know modesty is important, but like, what does that actually look like?
So, the most important thing is covering your shoulders and knees, and this applies to both men and women.
Okay. Got it. So no tank tops or short shorts, even if it's like a million degrees.
Right, yeah. Think more respectful rather than beachwear.
Okay.
But don't worry, there are stylish ways to stay cool and covered. Like a lot of travelers wear those flowy elephant pants, or you can just pack like a shawl or a sarong.
Oh, that's a good idea. I actually saw in one of the vlogs that some temples even provide cover-ups if you like forget.
Yeah, some do, but not all. So it's always best to just come prepared so you don't miss out on experiencing a temple just because of a wardrobe malfunction.
Okay, noted. Good point. Now, shoes. I've definitely heard about taking your shoes off before entering a temple. What's the reasoning there? Is it just like a cleanliness thing?
It's more about symbolism. In Thai culture, the feet are considered the lowest and the least pure part of the body.
Okay.
So by removing our shoes, we're showing respect for the sacredness of the space.
So it's leaving like the outside world behind, both
Mhm.
physically and symbolically.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It does keep the temples cleaner, which is a nice bonus.
True, true. Okay. I have to admit, I always worry about my shoes getting stolen in those big piles by the entrance.
Yeah, that's a common concern, but honestly, from everything I've read, shoe theft is actually super rare at temples. It seems that sense of respect just kind of extends even to leaving people's belongings untouched.
That's good to hear. Okay, so we've got our outfits, our shoes are off. What about how we actually act inside?
Body language is huge. It can really convey respect or disrespect even without you saying anything.
Oh, wow. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
What are some like key things to keep in mind?
So the biggest one is your feet. You never want to point your feet at a Buddha image or a monk.
Oh, okay. I would not have even thought of that.
Yeah, it's considered super rude because, again, feet are seen as the least pure part of the body. Even when you're sitting, try to keep your feet tucked behind you or just to the side.
Okay.
Most Thais don't even sit cross-legged in a temple.
Okay, so basically, feet management is key.
Yes, feet manage.
Got it. What about if we want to show respect to the Buddha? Do we need to like bow or anything?
You don't have to actively worship if you're not Buddhist, but there are a few respectful gestures that you can do. The most common one is the way.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Is that like when you put your palms together and bow a little bit?
Exactly. And it's a beautiful gesture. It conveys respect and
Yeah.
gratitude, even humility.
Yeah.
You'll see Thais doing it all the time, not just in temples.
One of the travel guides mentioned that some people will like shuffle forward on their knees, kind of as a sign of reverence.
Yeah, that's right. You might see that, especially in front of highly revered Buddha images. It's quite moving to witness.
Okay. I've started to get a sense of how deeply respect is like woven into Thai culture. It's fascinating.
It truly is. And it extends to how people interact with monks as well.
Oh, speaking of monks, are there any like specific things we need to know about interacting with them?
Definitely. So they're very highly respected figures, so you should always approach them with reverence. And there are some very specific rules, especially for women.
Oh, right, right. I remember reading about that. Women shouldn't touch a monk or his robes, right?
That's right. And it's due to a complex set of cultural and religious beliefs. It's taken very seriously. So even if you're trying to be helpful, like you're handing him something, it's best to just set it down for him to pick up rather than passing it directly.
Oh, wow. I had no idea it was like that important.
It is, but don't let that intimidate you. Monks are generally very welcoming and friendly. You might even have the opportunity to chat with one, especially in Chiang Mai where they have monk chat session.
Right, monk chat.
Yeah, monk chat.
What's that?
Basically, it's a chance to sit down with English-speaking monks and ask them questions about Buddhism or Thai culture and just get a glimpse into their way of life. It's a really incredible opportunity to learn from those who have dedicated their lives to spiritual practice.
That's so cool. I am definitely going to try to find one of those sessions.
Yeah, I think you would really enjoy it. It's a chance to connect with Thai culture on a much deeper level.
Now, I'm guessing there are some rules about taking photos in temples.
Oh yeah, you guessed it. So generally photography is allowed, but you just always want to be respectful.
Okay.
Ask permission before you're taking photos inside the buildings, especially if you want to capture monks or people worshiping, and just be aware of any signs indicating like restricted areas.
That makes sense. You would want to be snapping away in a place that's considered like sacred.
Exactly. And one thing I noticed a lot of sources mentioned was to avoid taking selfies with your back to a Buddha image.
Oh, right. Because we talked about how pointing your feet is disrespectful, and you'd basically be like turning your back on the Buddha.
Exactly, yeah. It's all connected.
So basically taking respectful photos to preserve the sanctity of the space.
Got it. What about donations? Are we expected to give money when we visit a temple? So donations are always appreciated, but they're definitely not required. You'll usually see donation boxes around, or some temples sell trinkets or offer blessings for a small fee. Think of it as a way to support the upkeep of these beautiful places.
That's a good point. I know one of the sources mentioned that you can buy like small Buddha statues in Thailand, but actually taking them out of the country can be tricky.
Good advice. Yeah, there are often strict laws about exporting religious artifacts,
Okay.
so maybe admire them while you're there.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have, but before we move on, I want to point out something really important about Thai culture that goes beyond just temples.
What's that?
Respect for elders.
Okay.
It's so deeply ingrained in Thai society, and it's something that you'll see everywhere, especially in temples.
So even more reason to be mindful of our behavior.
Exactly, yeah. It's not just about avoiding doing something wrong.
Right.
It's about actively showing respect, like using polite language, offering your seat, listening attentively when an older person speaks. All of those small gestures just go such a long way.
I love that. It's a good reminder that respect is a universal language, even if, like, the customs are different, you know?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
speaking of customs, there's one that often throws visitors off the way.
The palms together bow thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it in movies, but I would be so clueless about when to do it right.
It's actually simpler than you think. It's used for greetings, for saying thank you, even apologizing.
Okay.
Basically, anytime you want to convey respect or gratitude.
So it's like the Swiss Army knife of politeness.
Yes. Exactly.
But you mentioned there are, like, different ways to do it.
Right, yeah. So the height of your hands and the depth of your bow kind of depend on the level of respect you want to show.
Good.
A deeper bow with hands raised higher would be for like a monk or an elder,
Makes sense.
while a slighter bow with hands lower would be for, a friend or a peer.
Okay, so it's all about context. I guess like anything, observing how the locals do it is the best way to learn.
Exactly. And don't worry about being perfect. Thais really appreciate it when visitors try, even if they're not experts on all the nuances.
That's good to know. Yeah, okay. Now, back to temples themselves. I'm curious about all those different types you mentioned earlier. Like, what should we know about the variety of temples that are in Thailand?
Oh, well, first off, be prepared to be amazed. The diversity is incredible.
Okay.
You've got ancient ruins, modern masterpieces, temples carved into cliff sides, even some made from recycled materials.
Wow, I had no idea. I guess it makes sense, though, given how long Buddhism has been a part of Thai culture.
Right,
There's probably been a lot of time for different styles and traditions to develop.
exactly. And each temple kind of tells a story,
Yeah.
reflecting different periods of history, artistic influences, and regional beliefs.
Okay, well, now I need some specific recommendations.
Yeah.
Like, if I only have time to visit a few temples, which ones should be at the top of my list?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It really depends what you're looking for.
True.
But there are a few that are absolute must-sees.
Yeah, okay.
For sheer grandeur and historical significance, Wat Phra Khai in Bangkok, the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, is breathtaking.
Oh, yeah, the one you see in all the postcards.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It's located within the Grand Palace complex, so you kind of get a double dose of history and opulence.
Okay, that's going on the list. What about the one with the giant reclining Buddha?
You're thinking of Wat Pho, also in Bangkok. The reclining Buddha is over 46 meters long.
Whoa, that's longer than a swimming pool. I read that it's also famous for, like, a traditional Thai massage school.
Yep, you can get a spiritual and physical rejuvenation all in one place.
Now I'm really intrigued.
Okay.
Switching gears completely, I saw photos of this incredible all-white temple that looked like something out of a dream.
You must be talking about Wat Rong Khun, the White Temple in Chiang Rai. It's
Yes.
a modern masterpiece. It's designed to symbolize the purity of Buddhism.
Okay, it's officially at the top of my must-see list.
It's pretty
Wow.
amazing.
What about outside of Bangkok? Any hidden gems we should check out?
Tons. If you're heading north to Chiang Mai, Wat Doi Suthep is a classic. It's perched on a mountainside with incredible views.
Okay.
You can hike up or take a cable car or even ride a songtho, one of those red trucks you see everywhere.
Oh, I am definitely taking a song, though. Sounds like an adventure.
It is. And while you're in Chiang Mai, keep an eye out for those smaller, less famous temples.
Okay,
That's where you really get a feel for local life and spirituality.
I love that idea. Getting off the beaten path is always the best way to experience a new culture.
Exactly. Now, before we get too carried away with all of our temple hopping, there's one more crucial thing that visitors need to be aware of, the lese majesty law.
Oh, right, I've heard of that. It's about respecting the monarchy, right?
Exactly. It's actually illegal to speak negatively or disrespectfully about the Thai royal family,
Oh, wow.
and the penalties can be pretty serious.
Wow, I had no idea it was that strict. So, best to err on the side of caution and avoid any discussions about the monarchy altogether.
Yeah, precisely. It's a complex and sensitive topic, and it's best to just steer clear.
Got it.
Focus on enjoying the beauty and the culture of Thailand, and leave those conversations for another time and place.
Good advice. Now, something I was curious about, you mentioned making merit earlier. Is that something that visitors can participate in?
It is, and it's something that you'll see everywhere in Thailand, not just in temples.
Okay.
It's the Buddhist concept of earning good karma by doing good deeds, and it's so deeply woven into Thai culture.
So like giving alms to monks or donating to a temple or things like that.
Exactly, yeah. You might even see people releasing birds or fish
Oh, yeah.
as a symbolic act of freeing themselves from, like, negative karma.
Wow.
It's a beautiful expression of their faith.
I'm finding it really interesting how like interconnected religion and culture and daily life are in Thailand.
It's true, and even if you're not Buddhist yourself, simply witnessing these acts of merit-making can be a really moving experience.
Now, I'm picturing those peaceful candlelit temples, and I have to ask, what's the significance of the Buddha images themselves? Are they worshipped like idols?
That's a great question, and it's actually much more nuanced than that.
Oh.
So the images aren't worshipped as gods.
Right.
They're seen as representations of the Buddha and his teachings.
So it's more about like what the image symbolizes.
Exactly. The statues serve as reminders of the Buddha's path to enlightenment and the potential for inner peace and awakening that exists within, like, all beings.
I see, I see. So when you see people bowing or making offerings, it's not about like idol worship. It's more about connecting with those deeper teachings and cultivating their own spiritual growth.
Precisely. It's a beautiful way to bring those principles into daily life.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that a temple visit isn't just about sightseeing.
Right.
It's about witnessing a living spiritual tradition.
And that makes it even more important to be respectful.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Speaking of respect, I actually wanted to share a personal story that kind of highlights how easy it is to make a mistake, even with the best intentions.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me about this temple mishap.
So it happened a few years ago when I was visiting Wat Phra, that Doi Suthep in Chiang Mai.
Okay.
The one perched on the mountainside, remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just so captivated by those sweeping views and the golden, shady, glistening in the sun that I kind of got like a little too focused on getting the perfect photo.
Oh, no, don't tell me you accidentally turned your back on a Buddha statue for that epic panorama shot.
Not quite,
Okay.
thankfully.
Okay.
But in my quest for that perfect angle, I kind of wandered into a section of the temple that was clearly marked for monks only.
Oh.
I didn't even notice the signs at first, and a monk very kindly but firmly kind of guided me back to the designated visitor area.
Oh my gosh, I bet you were mortified.
Absolutely. My face was beet red. It was a good reminder to just like slow down, pay attention, and not let the excitement of the moment overshadow being respectful.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
It's so easy to get caught up in that tourist mindset
Right.
and forget that these spaces are more than just beautiful backdrops. Like they hold deep spiritual significance for a lot of people.
Exactly. And that kind of brings up another point I wanted to mention. You asked earlier about buying Buddha statues.
Yeah.
It's really important to understand that in Thailand, these aren't just souvenirs.
Right.
They're considered sacred objects.
Yeah. One of the articles mentioned that there are actually rules about taking them out of the country.
There are, yeah. But it's not even just about legalities. It's about understanding that these images hold like a deep religious and cultural meaning.
Okay.
Even if you're not Buddhist, it's just important to treat them with respect.
So maybe think twice before haggling over the price or stuffing a Buddha statue into your suitcase.
Exactly. You can admire them, appreciate their artistry, but just understand that they're not just trinkets.
Got it. Okay, any final tips for making the most of our temple visits?
You know, beyond all the do's and don'ts, I think the most important thing is to just approach these experiences with an open mind and a sense of wonder.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about avoiding mistakes.
Right.
It's about really being present and soaking it all in.
Exactly. Let yourself be awed by the architecture, the serenity of the spaces, the devotion of the people. Even if you don't understand every ritual or belief, simply observing with respect can be such a deeply moving experience.
I love that. It's about going beyond the tourist checklist and really connecting with the heart of a culture.
You got it. And who knows, you might even discover something about yourself along the way.
What a fantastic note to end on. So to recap for our listeners, dress modestly, be mindful of your feet, embrace the way, show respect to monks and elders,
Yeah.
and most importantly, approach each temple with an open mind and a heart full of curiosity.
Perfectly summarized. And don't forget to have fun.
Yes.
Exploring these temples is a truly unforgettable experience.
It sounds like it.
Oh,
Well, thanks for taking us on this deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much more than just like temple etiquette. I've gained a whole new perspective on Thai culture.
that's what we were hoping for.
And for our listeners, if you're planning a trip to Thailand, remember this is just a starting point. There's a whole world of fascinating information out there waiting to be discovered.
Oh, yeah.
Do your research, explore those hidden gems, and most importantly, enjoy the journey.